didn't notice the room first. Everyone else did. The chandeliers, the cream, colored walls, the way the light bent softly over crystal glasses. They kept saying it looked like something out of a movie. The ballroom at the Ritz had been prepared for weeks. My name was printed on gold-edged menace. Banner near the stage congratulated me for the licensing deal. $32 million. I had worked 12 years for that number. 12 years of failed prototypes, rejected grants, and nights spent sleeping on lab couches. And yet, standing there in a tailored dress with my hair professionally styled, I felt oddly disconnected from it. The celebration belonged to someone else. My husband stood beside me, one hand resting lightly on my back, guiding me from table to table. He smiled constantly. He was very good at smiling. When it was time for the toast, servers moved in synchronized lines, placing champagne flutes in front of us. The sound of glass against linen was delicate, precise. Remember noticing that, how careful everything was. He leaned in to whisper something about how proud he was. Then, in the reflection of a polished silver tray, I saw his hand move. It was small, almost graceful. 2 fingers, a subtle tilt, something pale slipping into my glass. My body reacted before my mind did. My fingers tightened around the stem. My shoulders stiffened. A rush of cold spread through my chest. But I didn't look at him. I kept smiling. Years in research teach you restraint. You learn that panic ruins data. You learn that assumptions kill good science. You learn to verify. So I verified, raised my glass with everyone else. The room echoed with applause. Phones were lifted. My mother dabbed her eyes. His parents clapped enthusiastically from the front table. I touched the rim of the glass to my lips and didn't drink. Let the champagne spill slightly against my skin, pretended to swallow, laughed when everyone else laughed. Then, when the photographer shifted angles, I placed the glass back on the tray of a passing server and quietly picked up another. Didn't notice. That night, after the guests left and the staff dismantled the stage, I returned to the ballroom alone. Told the coordinator I had misplaced something. She was tired. She let me in. The original glass was still in a bin, marked with my name. I took it. At home, I poured the remaining liquid into a sterile container I kept in my lab bag. Some habits never leave you. The crime lab confirmed it 2 days later. A sedative, strong enough to render me unconscious, dangerous in combination with alcohol, potentially fatal. Sat in my car outside the lab and stared at the steering wheel for a long time. My first emotion wasn't fear. It was grief, because fear implies uncertainty. This didn't. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't call my friends. Went home and cooked dinner like I always did. I asked him about his day. I laughed at the same places in his stories. That night, lying beside him, I listened to his breathing and tried to understand how long he had been planning my absence. Once you start seeing everything. The way his mother had asked detailed questions about my insurance. The way his sister had joked about early retirement. The way his father had once said lightly that money ruined marriages. Had laughed then. Now I stopped laughing. Over the next 2 weeks, I became careful in ways I had never been before. Dramatic careful. Quiet careful. I saved messages, recorded conversations when legally permitted, took photos of documents left too openly on desks. Let him talk when he thought I was distracted. Let his family talk when they thought I was naive. They underestimated me. Not because I was weak. Because I was kind. He would complain about the pressure. About how everyone expected him to live in my shadow. About how the deal had changed things. Listened. Sometimes I wanted to scream. Sometimes I wanted to pretend none of it was real. Instead, I kept notes. At night, alone in the bathroom, I would sit on the edge of the tub and breathe until the shaking passed. I refused to numb myself, needed clarity more than comfort. There were moments of doubt, moments when he brushed my hair back gently, and I almost believed I had imagined everything. Moments when I remembered our early years, the cheap apartments, the shared dreams. But evidence does not care about nostalgia. It accumulates. The turning point came on an ordinary Tuesday. We were in the kitchen. He was pacing, frustrated about money distribution with his family. Thought I was focused on my laptop. I wasn't. I had started recording 10 minutes earlier. He began talking faster. Complaining turned into blaming. Blaming turned into justification. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," he said. My hands went still. "Said it would just make you sleep. That we'd figure something out after." I asked softly, "Figure out what?" He hesitated, then answered. "Everything." That word carried more truth than he realized. 2 days later, investigators came to our house. There was no shouting, no dramatic arrests, no neighbors watching from windows. They sat at our dining table. They listened, played the recording. His face changed in stages: confusion, denial, fear, resignation. His family was questioned. Documents were seized. Accounts were frozen. Control shifted without spectacle. When they took him away, he looked at me as if seeing me for the first time. Not as a partner, as a person he had failed to erase. Afterward, felt enormous, too quiet, too honest. People expected me to feel victorious. I didn't. I felt tired. There were interviews, legal processes, therapy sessions, long walks where I tried to remember who I was before survival became my main project. Returned to my lab. I adjusted my schedule. I started eating lunch in sunlight again. Some nights, still wonder how close I came to disappearing without anyone knowing why. But I also know this. I did not win by destroying him. Won by refusing to disappear. By choosing clarity over comfort. By trusting my own mind when everything familiar told me not to. My life is smaller now, quieter, and finally it is mine.